Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Find Your Lady Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Brenda Ridgely, and I am so excited to continue this great conversation that we've been having this season about midlife transformation and getting through what we lovingly call the midlife funk. And today, I know you're going to love our guest, Nicki LeBerge. She is a self-worth and freedom facilitator for women after divorce. Oh my gosh, this happens to women in midlife so much these days, and nobody talks about it. So I'm just so excited to have this conversation with Nicki today. She empowers women to be brave, break free from limiting beliefs, set healthy boundaries, and rediscover their worth. Nicki's mission is to help women not just survive divorce, but to use it as a catalyst for her growth, healing, and lasting empowerment. Nicki, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
Welcome to the Find Your Lady Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Brenda Ridgely. This is season 4, and we are deep diving into the heart of midlife reinvention. If you've been feeling that midlife funk, that sense that you've mastered your roles but you've lost your spark, you are exactly where you need to be. This season is inspired by the framework of my upcoming book, Ignite Your Life's Purpose and Save the World. We're going to help you move from autopilot to on fire by hearing from incredible women who have reclaimed their own life force. It's time to stop just going through the motions and start living your next chapter with intention. Let's ignite that spark. Save the world, sister.
So, Nicki, I'd like you to dive right in. I want to hear your story. What is your midlife transformation story? Starting before the funk, how your life was, and the funk, and just give us all the nitty-gritty details.
Okay, well, I would say that it all started for me with my divorce. So it was 2015. I was 36, and I had reached kind of the end of where I wanted to be in my marriage. And I had made the really, really tough choice that I didn't want to be married anymore.
Mhm.
And once I made that decision, because it was my choice and because it had taken me a while to get there, like it happens with a lot of women, I thought divorce was going to be easy. I had always been able to handle things and manage things and just move through things. And my divorce taught me that that was not the case when it came to divorce, that it was a lot bigger than I realized. And I mean, I knew it was going to affect my life in multiple ways and in multiple areas, where I was going to be living, how much I would see my daughter, finances. I knew all of those things rationally and logically, but when you start moving through them and actually living them, that's when things kind of changed a bit for me.
Yeah.
So it
So
got
let me,
it got
if you don't
difficult.
mind, I'd like to just go back to pre-divorce a little bit. Like, how long were you married?
So we actually didn't get, we were together for a long time before we got married. So we were together a total of 17 years.
Okay.
And we were married, I'd say right around 10.
Okay, okay. So that is a significant amount of time, and you've built up some routines and some, all this, wealth together probably and assets and all that stuff. So can you just before we dive right into the divorce, work through kind of your thought process of what happened and kind of how you're feeling?
Honestly, so we met when I was 19 and he was 21. So we were very young. And a lot of times people can grow together, and we never did that. We stayed quite different. We were always quite different, and we never really came together in those differences. If anything, they kept pushing us apart. And we all bring things into relationships. I know that I brought a lot into that relationship. Again, I was so young and learning so much, and I was in college and just muddling my way through what it was like to be still a teenager.
Yeah.
And we jumped all in quite quickly, and my friend circle became his friend circle. Everything just kind of became that relationship in my life. And I was never that person before. So I think I was the woman that lost a lot of herself in that relationship and in that marriage in so many ways. And I think as that time went on, and I could feel it, but I couldn't really name it or figure out what I was feeling. I just knew there was a big disconnect there and I wasn't happy. And as we grew apart more and more, and I realized how different we were and things weren't coming together, and I felt those things. I felt disrespected. I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel heard. I didn't even feel like I was in an actual relationship. And that just built up and it built up. And then we had our daughter, and she's an IVF baby. So it was a process and a journey to have her. And so there were struggles along the way for that. And that also impacted our marriage and our relationship. And I just remember looking at her and promising her and saying out loud, I don't want you to ever feel this way. And if it ever gets to the point that, this is creating this, and like, I'm done. And I communicated that. Said, if she ever feels this way or you ever treat her the way that I feel I've been treated, I will leave. And she was just before her third birthday. I hit that point and I was like, nope, this is not what I want for her. And it's interesting that I was able to say this isn't what I want for her, but I wasn't able to truly say this isn't what I want for me. So
It is. It's very interesting. And unpacking that even further, you mentioned that when you went into this marriage, his friends became your friends and all, and you kind of just went into his life. It sounds like more so than did you, what happened to your friendship circle? Did you have less time and neglect them, or what happened?
eventually they just disappeared, and
Yeah.
rightfully so. Why would they stay if I was putting zero intention, zero time, zero energy into that friendship? And very, very fortunate, let me say this, the friends that I made through him became, I mean, they were my closest friends for 17 years.
Yeah.
We did everything together. I loved them dearly. And it's nothing about them. It was just that how much of my life and my world I sacrificed to step into his, and
Right.
what that did to me over those years.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. You're just basically losing your own identity, your own uh, things because and kind of I don't did he ask you to do that?
No. And
See,
that's
that's
the
crazy.
interesting part. I mean, I had a horse back then too. He didn't ask me to sell the horse, but I felt
Mhm.
like I needed to sell the horse. He didn't love the horse. He didn't love the time I spent with the horse. He was a bit, resentful, always made comments, those kinds of things, but he never said the words. I just took it upon myself that, you know what, this is a problem for us. I'm going to sell the horse.
Yeah. And then that was a big piece of you.
It was a huge piece of me. I grew up riding horses. I showed horses. I competed. It was what me and my mom did together. Like, it was such a huge part of my life. And I wanted that if I ever decided I wanted kids, I knew I wanted to share that with my children the way that my mom shared it with me. And yeah, I think again, he didn't ask me to do that. It was my choice, but I still resented him for it.
Right. I get that. So, okay, you're at the point where you said I've had enough. I don't like the way you're treating our daughter. I'm done. And then you initiate the divorce process feeling like I got this. This is like no big deal. But that's not how it played out for you.
No, not at all. And I was in the financial services industry as a mortgage broker at the time. So I had all the connections I ever needed. I knew all the lawyers, I knew all the financial planners, I knew all the accountants, I knew everybody I needed to get through it on the business side of divorce. But I didn't have any idea how hard the emotional side of divorce was going to be. And I just want to go back, because I am co-parenting with him. And if he were to ever listen to this, I want to just go back in the what he was doing to our daughter. What that was he wasn't there. He was
Got
not
it.
available. He wasn't around. And so I started to see her wonder, where's dad? Why isn't dad here? Why? And that's really the shift that it was for me,
Yeah.
is she needs someone that's going to be here for her.
Yeah.
And so that's what
It
it
wasn't
was.
abuse. It wasn't real neglect. It was just like that feeling
Yes.
that,
And showing up and being present and available
yeah.
and those things. But yeah, so I had no idea, again, because it was my choice and because it had taken me a long time to get there. I thought it was going to be easy. And once the logistics and the business side of divorce were done, I was just going to move into a new place and continue with my business. And life was just going to be amazing and wonderful. And it was in so many ways, because it changed for the better. But it also, I had no idea the grief I was going to feel, the stigma I was going to face. Society still judges people, and there's no way around it, because as women, our relationship status is defined openly in public: Miss, Mrs., Ms. right? Everyone knows our relationship status. Men are just Mr. No one cares if men are married or divorced or have a family, but they care when it comes to women. And so that was
That is
hard because
incredible.
there's,
Before you said it, I never put that together that we are labeled in a way that it says so much more.
yes, yes,
And people judge you based on that little
yes,
def, def, definition. That's not the
yeah,
right word.
but it works. It works.
Okay,
And
you get
that's,
it.
I get it. And there is judgment and there is stigma. And the number of times when people heard, they were like, oh, I'm so sorry. I heard you got divorced. And my answer ended up being, I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Like, why are you sorry? I'm not sorry. I'm happy. But the stigma is that means if you failed,
Yeah.
you failed. And there's judgment around that. And I don't feel like I failed. Did I have to work through that? Yes, because obviously society tells us we failed if we get a divorce. And as a mom, and as a like my parents got divorced when I was young. So one of the things I promised myself was I wasn't going, if I had children, they were not going to go through a divorce like I did as a child. So that was really hard because
Yeah.
here I was choosing between how I want to show up for my daughter and what I want to model for her, and also where am I in that?
Yeah.
And if I couldn't give her the relationship model that I thought was healthy for her and her future, I figured I was better off single and showing her that I can do whatever I want and so can she.
Yeah. So how did the grief show up for you? What did that look like throughout that process?
Yeah, I think it was grieving the parts of myself that I abandoned during my marriage, the parts of myself that I let go, the friendships. I mean, I lost my friends that I had when I went into the relationship, and then the divorce, my friends all changed again because they didn't all stand by me because they were originally his friends.
Yeah.
And once I was no longer a part of that circle, and they all still were, the friendships just naturally subsided. So
Yeah.
there was grief around friendships. There's grief around the parts of myself I abandoned and sacrificed. There was grief around, I mean, even though things were not always really great, obviously, otherwise we'd still be together, I still had a future in my head of what my life looked like. And divorce changes that future completely from the finances to everything. And so there's grief around, you have to grieve the future you saw for yourself. So there's a
Mm.
lot of grief.
Yeah. So I can only imagine as far as living the single life, which you have done for a decade or more now, what what's the evolution of how you've grown into that?
Well, it's been quite the evolution. In the beginning, I told myself I was going to take time for myself, but I kind of just fell into a few different, like whether it was a casual relationship here or something a little more serious for 6 months here. Like I did kind of bounce around between those types of things, like short-term committed relationships to more casual relationships, just trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted, how I fit in. And remember, society really tells us, especially as women, our value comes from our relationship status. So the
Mm.
number of times I've been asked, like, why are you still single? And I look at them and I'm like, why are you still married? Right? Marriage didn't work for me. Single life didn't work for you. Why are you judging? Like, I'm not judging you for still being married. Why are you judging me for choosing to be single? And it is a choice. And I
Yeah.
think that's the other part of it. It is absolutely, it has been a choice for me throughout the time. And it allowed me to make my daughter my number one priority. And I think that whenever we have young children and we're trying to bring relationships into it, that's hard for them. And
Hmm.
she had that with her dad. I wanted her to know that she was like she had, because he had like moved on and moved in his girlfriend and their kids. And I think that's an amazing thing when it works.
Hmm.
I knew it wasn't what I wanted for
Hmm.
her or for me. And so I just made the choice that, you know what, it's going to be me and her. But that allowed me to go on solo travel trips that changed me and changed my life. It allowed me to reconnect with my love of horses. And I was able to buy another horse again in 2022. Right. And that just brought me back to life because one part of my story is I lost my mom and brother in back to back years, 2019 for my mom and 2020 for my brother. And so reconnecting with horses was a big part of being able to move through my grief over those losses and reconnecting with really important parts of myself. So if I had jumped into a relationship at any point over the last 10 years, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. I wouldn't be living the life I'm living today. My daughter wouldn't be who she is today because her circumstance would have changed again. So I think women need to feel good about being single and
Yeah.
embrace it. Like it's been amazing for me and so many women that I know.
Yes. I think that I agree. The stigma is, it's always like something to fix if you're single. That's kind of the feeling, oh, I should need to set my friend up because she's
Yes,
single,
she must
you
be
know,
alone,
and
lonely.
it's really, it's okay to want to be single. It's okay to live your life single, and if you're still seeking a partnership because you want that, great. It'll happen if you align yourself correctly, right? But it's not something you need.
Absolutely. And again, I look back. So in 2018, I went to Iceland and rode Icelandic horses around the Hekla volcano. So that was my first solo trip. Then in 2021, I did Portugal and I rode Lusitano horses around the island of Faial. And those two experiences are what reconnected me back with my passion for horses. But
Mm.
they also made me realize how big and amazing and wonderful this world is and how amazing I am and how
Mm.
happy I can be and doing these things for myself and providing these things for myself and showing up for myself in that way and modeling that for my daughter. And the other thing that I've always, well, again, going back to kind of like evolution of dating, I know now that I will not live with a man again and I will not merge finances. Now, that could change when my daughter is older and out of the house. I don't know, but for right now, those things are just off the table. So anytime I do kind of venture back into the dating world, I'm just very clear about that. This is what I'm looking for. This is not what I'm available for. And some men are like, ugh. And other men are like, that's amazing. Great. I love that.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea of just living in the same home and having separate bedrooms. I mean, I don't know. I'm happily married. I've been so for 30 some years, and we cohabitate. But there's some, greatness in having a space that's
Yes.
yours, right?
Well, and there is research out there. There are studies that have been done that show men sleep better next to a woman and women sleep better alone.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I sleep better alone.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. So, so you basically not only grieved your divorce, but then you had the losses of your mother and your brother, and then in this process of the lowest of your lows, you reconnect with horses, which I understand have such a therapeutic nature. I mean, there are therapeutic s- centers with horses, right? But it was from something that you'd given up and lost so many years ago. That just feels so powerful to me.
So powerful. And when I first got into it, I just wanted to have a horse again. He was going to be a pasture pet that me and my daughter could ride once in a while, but we could just go and hug and love and just that therapy piece, right? Like be my support animal.
Right.
And when I got him, I knew that there was a nice horse under the layer of fat that he'd accumulated because he wasn't doing a lot when we bought him. But I didn't quite realize how wonderful of a horse was underneath that layer of fat and how much he would challenge me and how much he would push me and how much he would teach me because horses are mirrors. And so as
Mhm.
much as and they are therapeutic and there are absolutely are therapy programs built around them. But if you are working in connection with the horse, you need to be very much aware of your emotions because they will mirror them back to you and they will bring things up in you that you no idea you actually needed to work through. And I mean, I have examples and that I can talk all day about that, but my horse is very sensitive and he's not super cuddly. Like I wanted a cuddly horse again, and he is not that. He will literally like push me away with his head very obnoxiously and very forcefully to the point he is like knocked the wind out of me. He's knocked me into the wall. Like he is like, you're too close, get out of my space. And so I really had to kind of come at the relationship from a different way. And as I started doing that, 17 years away from horses, and now we compete regularly. I was just texting with my coach before we jumped on this. Our first show is coming up at the end of May. And I'm like, okay, are we going to be ready for this? Because he's had some stuff going on. So we haven't jumped in 2 months. And it's a jumping show. And I'm like, can we actually do this? And I haven't seen a response yet because we've been having such a good conversation. But
Yeah. Well, I love how you just kind of took a step forward towards something that you love, passion, when you're passionate, something you let go of, and what it's opened up for you without you even planning that, right?
The people, yeah, the people it's brought into my life, again, that reconnecting those parts of me, the confidence it has brought back for me, because you have to be pretty brave to gallop around a course and jump jumps. And, it takes some bravery. I've learned that. There's been a lot of tears along the way. Um, and my horse's name is Win. And
Mm.
so I always tell people like everyone needs a win. Now, it doesn't have to be an 1,100-pound obnoxious toddler like mine is, but they need a win in their life. So whether that's whatever it is that gives you that passion and confidence and just lights you up from the inside, we all need that.
I love it. We all need a win.
Hey, lady. Just wanted to take a moment and interrupt right now in the middle of the show to ask you to subscribe. Yes, press that button right now. This show is all about you, the midlife woman. Let's do this thing together, so join us. Subscribe now.
Gosh, you went all through all of these life transitions and really big ones, and you came out and you like are I'm sure continuing to grow and thrive. But what is life like on the other side?
Oh, it's amazing, wonderful. There's incredible. There's so many words to use for it. It is freeing. Like I feel like I'm free. I'm
Mm,
free from so many things because I chose very, very, very consciously to live my life different. I chose to let go of who society told me I needed to be and wanted me to be, and said, you know what, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to be this person. And there is so much freedom in that. And it has, again, brought amazing people into my life. I get to be here and have this conversation with you. It did lead me to my horse. It did lead me to my dog who's snoring on the couch because we fostered him, then we adopted him. Like animals have always been a big thing for me. Again, the people, the women I've connected with, the people I've been able to help, the women I've been able to help, to show them there is another way. And you can feel this good, whether the relationship is the goal, marriage is the goal, family is the goal, maybe it's a career, whatever it is, you can feel this free and live a life that feels this good.
I love it. I love it. It absolutely did bring you to your current career. And from that perspective, I'd love it if you could provide our audience uh, with a few tips that, like, what if they're going through this and trying to make that tough decision? Should I stay or should I go? Oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm afraid. Do you have any tips to help them move in the direction of their power and what they really want?
They first need to really sit with themselves and listen, because I knew for years I didn't want to be married anymore. I knew with every part of me, but I just kept shoving it down and diluting it and telling myself something different. Like, no, you can make this work. You just have to try a bit harder. You just have to communicate a bit better. You just have to do this. And looking back, I wish I would have listened to myself sooner. But we can't do that either, right? Because if I had listened to that part of me sooner, maybe I wouldn't have our daughter, right? Maybe we wouldn't have her. Who knows what my life would look like? So I'm glad I went on the trajectory that I did. And so for any woman listening, just really listen to yourself, because the answer is there underneath the fear, underneath the uncertainty. And then you have to give yourself permission to be scared and do it anyways.
Mhm.
Give yourself permission to want more for yourself. Give yourself permission to connect in a different way with yourself, with other people, to start moving towards the life, and be really honest with yourself what you want your life to look like. Again, that could be a career, it could be marriage, it could be whatever it is. Be really clear with what you want your life to look like, and then take a look around. Is that what my life, am I living that life? Is that what my life feels like? So you know the answer. You just have to give yourself permission to listen and then to take action. And like one of my favorite sayings is be scared and do it anyways. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just baby steps.
Yes.
It doesn't have
Baby
to be,
steps.
doesn't have to be like, yeah, I mean, do some research, right? On what that's going to look like and how can you set yourself up for success? I mean, those kind of things, right?
Have a conversation with someone you trust, whether
Yeah.
that's a friend, a therapist, a coach like myself. Have a conversation, start saying things out loud, because we talk to ourselves all the time and we're not very nice to ourselves most of the time. And so have a conversation, start to say those things out loud. I don't know if I'm happy. I don't know what I want. Doesn't, you don't have to have the answers, but you have to start saying things out loud in a safe place. And even if that means putting them in a journal, right? It doesn't have to be to someone. It can be to yourself through a journal or something like that, but you have to start getting those thoughts out.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So tell us all, how do we find you, Nicki?
I am in a lot of places. I call my business Healing You First Coaching, because I truly believe we have to heal ourselves first before we can step into the life that we want or bring other people into that space. So heal yourself first. So Healing You First Coaching. That's my website, www.healingyoufirstcoaching.com. I am on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all at Healing You First Coaching. So pretty consistent. I have some free resources on my website. So if you're a woman and you're unsure of why you're not, maybe you've already gone through the divorce and you're just unsure why you don't feel how you thought you would feel, your life isn't what you wanted it to be, there's some resources there on why so many women get stuck after divorce, 10 things you can do to start moving forward after divorce. I talk a lot about core values. We all need to know what our core values are. Mine changed dramatically after my divorce. I thought I knew myself, and then my divorce was like, those things you thought you needed and were so important to you, nope, it's these things. And so I had to redefine a lot of parts of myself. And so I have an exercise on there for women where they can define their core values and then start using those as their compass going forward. So lots of information and resources.
Awesome. Well, I encourage you ladies, if you have any, or know, if you know of a friend that could use these resources or this conversation, please forward this to them. I just want I always wrap up our time together with this question, Nicki. How do you tribe?
I feel like how I tribe has changed so much over the last, like in my adult years as a friend, how I show up as a friend, and how I need friends to show up for me. So if I look at right now where I'm at, single mom, a lot of the time running a couple businesses, having a horse, trying to do all the things, a lot of my friendships are through memes. We will come across something that we want to share, and I mean, they're all busy too. And so I love when I get a meme from someone, because it knows that they were thinking of me, or something reminded them of me, or they just thought enough of me to share this with. And so right now we do a lot of memes. We do fit in the odd phone calls and those kinds of things. But I think it's just understanding the different stages of life and still showing up for other people. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it because even if because our lives ebb and flow as far as the craziness, and
Yes.
can't always have coffee. You can't
No,
always, go for a little girls' weekend, but you can always send a little "I'm thinking of you," and just stay connected that way and give someone a little joy, a little laugh, a little chuckle, and brighten their
exactly.
day, right?
Yeah. And then I also love that, like, my one friend, she'll send me 10 like reels or memes, and I'm like, yeah, like I see them, I'll get to them when I can. And like, she doesn't expect, there's no expectation, there's no need. I don't need my friends to respond right away. They don't need me. So it's just an understanding that we're busy,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean we don't love each other. And that doesn't mean that we're not there for each other. And yeah, when we do get to see each other, it's amazing, whether it's a girls' trip or coffee or lunch or a Zoom call, because we live different parts of the world. But yeah, it's just recognizing that friendships change, I think, in our midlife as women, depending where we're at, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, love it. Well, Nicki, this has been such a nice conversation and so important, I think. And just want to thank you for sharing your story so vulnerably, and your hurts and how you came through it, and sharing this these blessings really with other women now, really helping them and being a guide and a light for them. So thank you for that. Listeners, thank you so much for showing up and being here and being a part of our tribe. I really value your support and your being connected to us. So with that, when three or more gather, we are tribe.
Thank you for spending this time with your Lady Tribe. I always say that when three or more gather, we are tribe. And today, with my guests, myself, and you listening in, that circle is complete. I hope this story reminded you that your purpose is worth the pursuit. this episode stirred something in you, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Your engagement helps other sisters find their way to our circle. If you're ready to take the next step in your own transformation, I invite you to join our gathering place, the Save the World Sisterhood Facebook group. It's where we unmask, connect, and cheer each other on as we ignite our lives together. Until next time, I'm Brenda Ridgely. Save the world, sister.